I have been waiting for this one all year long, and it did not disappoint. It is pure cinematic perfection. Folks, let's jump into my review of the new film, Sonic the Hedgehog 3. What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the channel today for another review. And today we're going to be reviewing the new film Sonic the Hedgehog 3, coming to theaters December 20th. Man, oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man. As a huge Sonic fan, my eyes have been glued on this release date all year long. And obviously, after the mid-credit scene from Sonic 2 introduced one of my favorite characters of all of video games, and that's Shadow. So of course my eyes were glued about how this character was going to be portrayed on the big screen. And obviously the next biggest thing was, well, who was going to voice Shadow? And listen, I'll be the first to say I lobby for Kirk Thornton. His portrayal, his voice work of Shadow is still amongst the top tier voice acting performances of all time in any video game. And there have been rumors that it was going to be Hayden Christensen. I was like, I guess I can see that. And then when we got to see a little bit of it at CinemaCon, still no voice. But yes, once the announcement was made about it being no other than Keanu Reeves, I was like, heck yeah. And then when we heard his little snippets of it, I mean, he didn't disappoint. I'm here to tell you right now, bravo, Mr. Reeves, bravo. He absolutely killed it in his voice acting performance. And of course, everybody who returned in terms of their work, obviously, they just doubled down. Team Sonic, for what it's worth, there's so much more story to be told with these characters. And now 3 movies in, they just continue to get better and better and better. But listen, let's talk about all things Sonic right now, because it's a very competitive weekend on the December 20th in this holiday season of 2024, because not only is Sonic coming out on December 20th, but we also have Mufasa. And my hot take is it's not even close with the better film. Now, I did love Mufasa, but man, Sonic is perfection. And I say this as a moviegoer. I say this as a fan of the lore. I say this as somebody coming in just looking for a good film to watch over the weekend. I say this in terms of the different audiences that it serves. That Sonic the Hedgehog 3 is pure perfection. This is the movie to watch this month without a doubt. Honestly, I'm ready to pre-order my 4K physical copy right now. That's how bad I like it. I'm absolutely going to double down and going to see this again, because it's just really, really that good. Now, I know that the trailers show some really epic moments, but it still is just a tip of the iceberg for everything you're going to endure in this film. Because first of all, the opening is so epic, and I thought it was such a proper introduction for Shadow to understand essentially what's at stake with Shadow, his motivations, but ultimately his power set. Like we had to know, if he was going to be a rival for Sonic, exactly how formidable he would be against Team Sonic, now having Tails and Knuckles all, in terms of our good guys here. So like, how could one character stand toe to toe with the 3 of them, especially from everything that we've seen not only in the movies but also in the Knuckles Paramount Plus series. And as a fan of low light neon shots, let me tell you that when we got to see Shadow in Japan under that aesthetic, man, oh man, oh man, I had my seatbelt strapped. I was ready to go. I heard Keanu's voice and it was showtime. But yeah, fantastic opening, very epic, proper introduction for a character. Now, there's a lot of good themes in this film as well too, and I think the theme about making choices and not letting pain change who you are, and that's very much carried throughout the entirety of the film, especially in the heighten of some very critical moments. So I did love like the messages that was intertwined in all of the action and comedy, because you know Sonic's going to have his chops here. You don't have to doubt that at all. You know Sonic was going to do Sonic things, right? And I also think too that like they did a really good job in really showing you the difference in personalities between Sonic and Shadow. Who's Shadow is obviously somebody out here looking for vengeance, and Sonic is bubbly. You know, he's just kind of just doing his thing. You know, and I think that you know, you just have to just understand that yes, they are both hedgehogs, but like they're definitely drastically different. And there's nothing wrong with that at all. But Sonic is one of our most beloved characters in all of video games. You know, him and Sega is synonymous, and truly the catalyst of the success of that brand. And even after the demise of Sega consoles, that Sonic continues to be a household name because he's just that popular. You know what I mean? So with that being said, like, yeah, fantastic job in terms of really explaining the differences between the two characters, and it's just so much fun to see them two work across from each other later on in the film. But you know, really starting off at the beginning of the film, I gotta talk about the visuals, because like it, you know, Sonic, the live action has come a long way. We're not going to pretend like Ugly Sonic was definitely a horrible step out the gate for this franchise, but like since then, the animation has gotten better and better and better. And I'm going to talk about the third act at some point, but let me just tell you really quickly that this first act and all of the opening action and drama and so on, and story building and even world building, might you add, it's to the caliber of where some films third acts sort of bring. So like an impressive third act might be the most impressive first act of all of the Sonic films, and definitely rivals the third act in terms of Sonic 2. So you can only imagine what is to come for the third act. And I think that expectation really had me on edge the entire time, knowing like, oh my God, like if they're coming out the gates like this is going to be something special. But yeah, did not disappoint at all with the first act. And again, I think, you know, with Ben Shorts with Sonic, you know, of course he got his one-liners and tons of pop culture references, and just, you know, at times, yes, you can say it's campy, but it's Sonic. So like, yeah, while some may land for adults, they all land for kids. So they nailed the Sonic personality and persona to a T, and it's only gotten better since the first two films. And speaking of like pop culture references, the fact that we got a moment where Knuckles is scared of Casper the Friendly Ghost was something I was not expecting, but I just flat out bust out laughing. And there's definitely some moments where I won't say horror, but like jump scares are like an element in this. So, you know, Agent Stone, who's fantastic, it's always has a moment with Tails. Plenty of them with Knuckles, because Knuckles don't like ghosts or anything that resembles anything of horror, which I think is hilarious. So that's good. And they got these up close sort of like facial shots, something that like in Mufasa I wasn't a big fan of, but I thought they did so well in this. And I even thought, even in the action moments where they had these up close and facial shots, that they executed them so much better. And I think, like, yeah, if you want to see exactly what I liked and what I didn't like, watch the two and see how Sonic does it in a way that doesn't feel like way overkill, in the sense of how they did these sort of same moments in Mufasa when it came down to these action sequences. So yeah, you gotta love it. You gotta love it. Now, here's where this gets really interesting. I have to say, maybe beginning of the second act is when Jim Carrey is first reintroduced back into this franchise, because, you know, he plays Dr. Eggman, and at a point we thought Eggman was done, but he returns, and yes, he's been promoted everywhere, so we know he's here. But for the sake of the story, they wasn't aware of this. So once Eggman returns, when Jim Carrey is reintroduced, the film was already good. So you say, oh, so now you're adding Jim Carrey. It's literally the icing of the cake. And at that point now, he just really took the level to, he took this film to the epic level because the film was already good. And we know what Jim Carrey brings. And the fact that we get to double down with two Eggmans, which both are played by Jim Carrey, even to a point that they have a moment where they even break the fourth wall. It's so great. Jim Carrey is a national treasure. We must protect him by all means. And we're not looking for him to retire anytime soon. We're not. And, I know he kind of walked back on that statement, but like, this may be one of my favorite performances of his of all time. And that says a lot because like The Grinch is definitely still very much my favorite, but this one is damn close. It's really good to see him work against each other. They have a moment where they have a little dance break, and it is just something I was not expecting to have just so much fun with. So the first act was really strong. The second act really started to dive into the feelings and the backstory of Shadow and really fleshing out why his motivation of revenge is so strong. And I gotta say, anybody who knows Shadow's story knows that Shadow has a relationship with Maria. Maria is played by Alila Brown. And I got to interview her earlier this year. She's having a fantastic year, and she's just really flourishing as an actor. And the time we get to spend with her as Maria executes the emotional pull that is needed, understanding the relationship between the two of them, that makes everything that Shadow is up to do, makes it so believable because you see Shadow, just being basically an experiment until somebody almost humanizes him and sees him as not a threat, but as a friend and that is family. And, when that's taken away, where does that sort of motivate? How does that send somebody down a dark path, and what does their motivations ultimately become, which typically ends up revenge, an origin story for a villain. So yeah, there is that. Listen, let's just get to the good part now, because I've already praised this film high enough. We haven't even talked about the third act. Oh my God, just wow, times 1,000. I literally jumped out of my seat. I lost my mind, jaw dropped all the way to the beginning, to the front of the theater. Even though I was in like the 7th row, my jaw was all the way up to the screen, because this third act may go down as one of my favorite third acts of all time when it comes down to this genre, when it comes down to video game adaptations. This was so good. So good. I'm going to tell you the feels it gave me. It gave me that Goku on Planet Namek feel in Dragon Ball Z when the first time he went Super Saiyan. If you know, you know. And to the events that occur in the third act, oh my God. First of all, the visuals, the score, the soundtrack, the moments, the callbacks, the nods, the references, Easter eggs, all of it's in there. It is what you wanted to see this entire time. It's like that, man, if they did that, that'd be insane. And they did it. And I will tell you this straight up. Please avoid McDonald's Happy Meals, because they're out here spoiling stuff. And even with that, it still, for me, did not take away from what an epic moment we got. Listen, Sonic is all fun and games until you mess with his family. And when we get to see Sonic in a serious note, it's like, okay, no more laughs. Yeah, business is picking up, and that's what we got times 100, and that's all I'm gonna say. So I can't express to you enough that the third act is the most epic third act I think I've ever seen in any video game adaptation, and definitely amongst one of my favorites in terms of this genre across the board. It's just that good. And the fact that like they were able to hit classic Sonic themes, especially anybody who's a big Sonic Adventure 2 on Dreamcast fan like I was, like, yeah, they're gonna hit some moments there, some moments there, if you know, that is gonna be like, oh my goodness, Oh my goodness, which automatically I started thinking about all my friends that I used to play Sonic Adventure 2 with and say, like, you need to go see this because you remember how we felt when we played the game back in the Dreamcast days? Oh, the nostalgia is being yanked left and right here for you. So honestly, man, if I think the next time, like when I watch this, like I might legit shed a nerd tear because I didn't want to tear because I didn't want to miss any bit of what was happening. I get my eyes all blurry from the tears and whatnot. But I might legit shed a nerd tear because just that. And I've seen it in Dolby. I definitely think this is a film you want to see whatever the best definition available. Everybody's using the whole tagline of see it on the best screen possible. Now I feel like that's played out. But like for me, I'm remixing it and saying like see it on the best definition possible. So IMAX Dolby, man, if you got one of those super big IMAX screens in your area, do so. Absolutely do so. It's worth the money. That third act, the first and third act will definitely get you your money's worth. The second act, like I said, it really fleshes out the story, hits on the emotional notes, and the overall puts together a fantastic story. And then with everything with our Team Sonic versus Shadow, you know, Jim Carrey, national treasure, Jim Carrey versus Jim Carrey. And obviously the Eggmans are on the same team, but like the fact that like them working the screen together is like it's only somebody of his caliber can do to the note that he did it. And I feel like it's one of those type of things where you're just like, yeah, it's Jim Carrey. Give him a blank paper, let him do what he does, and he did the character justice, but also made it his own, but also just hit on so many different things. Good comedy, good chops, a little bit for adults, a lot for the kids. I mean, he just didn't miss. And all that to say, there's two mid-credit scenes. One that really sets up for the next film. And then the other that could set up for anything. Could be another series, could be the next film, spin-off, who knows, you know? So you definitely want to stay through for both of them. I tell you that first one is very, very exciting. You could imagine anybody who's a Sonic fan, what they might be trying to do. Obviously, the first one we knew Tails were coming. The second one we knew that Shadow was coming. The third one is like, well, what character is definitely missing right now? So there's definitely a character that needs to be introduced. And then you think about the threats, and I had a prediction of one threat, but I think, you know, when you think about the ultimate threats, you kind of let them sort of wait towards the end. So there's another intermediate threat. I'll just say anybody who owns a Sega CD may know what I'm talking about here, who have owned one. So yeah, they're going that route. So you definitely want to stay through for both mid-credit scenes. And honestly, it's safe to say Sonic ain't going nowhere anytime soon. They're here for the long run. There's so much more story to be told. And I think this film is going to kill it in the box office. It's going to be a very expensive weekend for moviegoers and families with kids. Because with Mufasa and Sonic coming out the same day, I definitely suggest you see the both of them. But if I had to pick one, I would go see Sonic first, second and third, then go see Mufasa. That's just personally how I feel. I don't care if you want to call bias or not, but like, hey, we grew up on the Lion King. We also grew up on Sonic, so where's really the bias? One's just a more superior film than the other, and that's just my take. So yeah, check out Sonic 3. Fantastic film. Man, I can't wait to see this again. Man, I can't wait to own this. Hell, give me the score too. I'll take it all. But yeah, jump in the comments. Let me know your thoughts, your excitement, even your predictions for the mid-credit scene. Don't go out there and look for spoilers. Just predict. Have some fun, you know? But as always, stick around for more reviews and content here at Big Gold Belt Media very soon. Thank you for watching.
Hedgehog.